ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Asian Vision Dialogue. Well, it's a great pleasure for me today to have two special guests, Dr. Cheang Vannarith, the President of the Asian Vision Institute, AVI, and Dr. Vannarith, the Strategic Advisor to the AVI, who gonna be on the program shortly. And I think this is gonna be an interesting discussion in which we all should be aware of, because our speaker will be sharing their perspective on our today's topic related to the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which is a new economic initiative of the United States. Greeting Dr. Vannarith and Dr. Vannarith. Well, we really appreciate your time joining us today, and taking this opportunity, I'm going to raise some questions concerning the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, and we also further discussing the comparison between IPEF, we call Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, with the BRI. And also for the last section, we're gonna ask some information from your perspective on the implication of Cambodia and ASEAN in brief. So without further ado, let me pose the first question to Dr. Vannarith. Back to October 2021, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework was proposed by the President Joe Biden, and it is considered to be the most important framework under his administration for economic cooperation in the region. So he also expects the agreement to be concluded in 2023. So could you please describe a little bit about this economic initiative, including what it will cover and which member country will be possibly joining?
Well, it is a very new initiative because the U.S. have been criticized of not involving economically in the region. The U.S. has been criticized of focusing on the security and strategic issues. So this is a new narrative and also a strategy for the U.S. to comprehensively engage in the region, from security, strategic to economic engagement. So the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework would be a key pillar of the Indo-Pacific strategy in order to counter, to some extent, the Belt and Road Initiative by China, and also to gain kind of economic influence and economic presence in this region. So this is something that I think from the regional perspective, I think most of ASEAN would welcome economic role of the United States in this region, but of course it's still at the nascent stage. More concrete kind of action plans and this kind of resources mobilization would be required in order to implement this economic framework. And of course, I think we need to wait and see up until the upcoming US-ASEAN Special Summit going to take place next month, and how this will fit into the Indo-Pacific strategy as well as the US-ASEAN partnership.
Thank you, Dr. Vannarith. So the second question relevant to the previous question would go to Dr. Vannarith. So could you kindly share us about the viewpoint from the United States on the trade policy priority of this new economic framework?
Thank you, Srenu, for the important question. As Dr. Cheang has mentioned earlier on, that it is the attempt by the Biden administration to re-exert American economic engagement, or I might say influence, in this part of the world after the US has withdrawn from the TPP, currently known as the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership. But I think the United States is trying to engage in a more comprehensive way by fleshing out not only strategic and security engagement, but also economic and trade aspects. But I think it's quite too early because the limits on the Indo-Pacific economic framework, the detail remains very limited. So far, we know that there will be 4 key pillars in the Indo-Pacific economic framework. The first one will be something to do with fair and resilient trade. The second pillar, the United States will be promoting the infrastructure, green growth, clean energy, and decarbonization. The third one is related to the resilient and supply chain resilient. And the last pillar is related to tax and anti-corruption. So if we look at the 4 pillars, I think the Indo-Pacific economic framework is not something similar to traditional trade arrangements like the CPTPP or RCEP. It's more related to rule setting, standard setting, like environmental standard, labor standard, the rule of origin. And from that, there have been, some criticism already that the Indo-Pacific economic framework lacks of, clear incentive, especially on market access, greater access to the U.S. market. The second criticism is that it will be very hard for the Biden administration to adopt the economic framework through the Senate. And as the result, the Indo-Pacific economic framework is expected to be adopted through the presidential executive order. So if it is based on the executive order, we don't really sure about the future of this framework because the future of the economic framework might be abandoned after the Biden administration. The third criticism is that the Pacific economic framework might not be inclusive, and geopolitical calculation might be part of the economic framework. Therefore, countries in the region might be cautious because we don't want to take side. We want to create a comprehensive, inclusive, transparent trading arrangement. Of course, rules-based trading arrangement in the Asia and Pacific. So, yeah, but it's too early to provide any judgment on the Indo-Pacific economic framework. I believe the Biden administration will continue to flesh out more details in terms of substance, objectives of the Indo-Pacific economic framework in the near future. Perhaps during the upcoming ASEAN-US Special Summit in Washington, D.C.
Well, thank you, Dr. Vannarith, for your comprehensive response. So, connecting to the earlier question, as many countries, member countries in the Indo-Pacific region, also participate in the Belt and Road Initiative, which is BRI, that is the China multi-billion-dollar infrastructure investment platform launched in 2013. So it is arguable that the Indo-Pacific economic framework is considered to be an overlapping economic order in the Indo-Pacific region. So with regard to these two initiatives, what aspect do you think that both of them have in common, and what do they contradict with each other? I would give the floor to Dr. Vannarith.
Again, it's too early for me to compare the Indo-Pacific economic framework with other economic initiatives because it's too early. We don't know the substance of the framework, the contents of the framework. But from the four pillars, we can see some similarities and commonalities between the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and the BOI, especially the emphasis on the importance of infrastructure connectivity across the region, and of course the promotion of regional supply chain resilience. But for me, BOI is more about a project, while the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework is more about the vision. So it will depend very much on how the Biden administration gonna turn the vision into concrete projects in our part of the world. BOI have so many projects through many mechanisms. Bilaterally, China has been working closely with all countries in the region to promote infrastructure connectivity, economic connectivity, regional supply chains, people-to-people contact. In the sub-regional frameworks, for example, in the Mekong, China has been promoting the Mekong Langchang cooperation, which is also part of the BOI. China also tried to promote its engagement with ASEAN as a whole, and of course with countries in South Asia. So those are, real and concrete projects and initiatives which have been benefiting, countries in the region. Again, we have to wait and see what the Biden administration gonna materialize, the vision to promote the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework or corridor, I might say.
Okay, if you look at the names of the initiative, one is Belt and Road Initiative, another one is Economic Framework, right? So the key term is initiative and framework. So initiative mainly is a loose kind of structure, doesn't have clear mechanism, but framework will be more of the norm and rules setting. So it will set a certain standards and norms and rules, because the US and most of the Western countries and Japan, Australia tend to emphasize this kind of norms and rules. So they have a charter before the organization's running. But China, okay, let it run first, and then norms and rules will be evolved our times, and they structure it along the way. So this is a very kind of a interesting pattern and differences between the US and China when they come to global governance and regional trade arrangement, this kind of economic architecture. So Belt and Road Initiative mainly focus on practical cooperation, economic practical cooperation, infrastructure, real infrastructure development. And it doesn't have any clear rules and norm or standards, It's a case by case, based on the bilateral agreement between China and the countries that support the Belt and Road Initiative. I believe that the economic framework will be a norm and rules that everyone, if you want to be part of it, you need to be in compliance with those norms and rules. So that would be the difference between the two initiatives.
Well, that's really interesting to hear from both speakers. So my next question would go to Dr. Vannarith. From the geopolitical perspective, is it possible to say that President Biden is using this new economic framework to counter China influence, also to strengthen the U.S. leadership roles in shaping the economic order in the Indo-Pacific?
Yes, exactly, because as I said earlier, that the U.S. have been under criticism of not economically involving with the region, and according to various surveys, across the region is the China economic influence is on the rise over the past 3-4 years. So that is something that the U.S. is very concerned now. Without economic footprint, economic presence, geopolitical competition between the U.S. and China will be in favor of China in the medium and long term, because basically I think all the countries in the region stressed importance of economic development. So economic security is national security. So if you don't engage them economically, you cannot gain political leverage. So this is the new era. What I can see is the new era of economic statecraft, in which state use economics tool to influence or to achieve geostrategic objectives. So economic as a tool to achieve geopolitical objectives. And this is something that we'll need to have certain adjustments from Cambodia, for instance, as a small country in Southeast Asia, how we can adjust our economic diplomacy in a way that we can be friend to all and enemy to none, right? So that can be a new opportunities if Cambodia can connect itself with this regional supply chain, regional supply network. And the definition of a supply chain resilience is quite important to take note, because from the U.S. perspective, supply chain resilience refers to less reliant on China. But when we define supply chains from Cambodian perspective, it's more diversifications, openness and diversification. And from the Chinese perspective, when it defines supply chain resilience, it's more of international integrations, and China kind of a hub of production base and supply chains. So different countries may define a supply chain resilience differently, but the new elements in this competition, geopolitical competition, is technology, green technology, right? So this is a new field of competition. Which country that can have more, can get more access to more advanced green technology, they may gain more advantage in terms of economic diplomacy. So that would be interesting field to observe in terms of geopolitical competition relating to technology.
Thank you, Dr. Vannarith. So similar to Dr. Vannarith's question, I would like to know the view from Dr. Borey. So to what extent do you think U.S. can re-engage with Asia using this economic initiative?
I don't know, but I think it depends on what will be concrete projects that the U.S., especially the Biden administration, going to use in order to realize the vision on the Indo-Pacific economic framework. But for countries in our region, I think we should welcome all initiatives that are supporting regional peace, stability, and prosperity. Having said that, we must have certain rules and principles so that regional initiative are not for the geopolitical competition only, but they are healthy for peace, for prosperity, and for development. And the principle should include, number one, inclusiveness. Without inclusivity, we might not have a comprehensive and inclusive rules-based regional framework, either on security or on economic side. Number two, I think the principle of openness, the principle of transparency, to make sure that all regional initiatives are for the benefits of countries in the region. Number three, I think complementarity would be another important principle, because we have so many frameworks in our part of the world. BOI, now Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, high quality infrastructure project of Japan, a global gateway that the EU has just recently launched. So countries in the region should be mindful of various regional initiatives and try to promote the synergy, the complementarity between and among all those frameworks or initiatives to ensure that we can be benefiting from those initiatives or projects. And I think another important element is that sometimes we focus too much on geopolitics, on security, but we ignore another important part, which is concrete cooperation for the benefit of the people in our part of the world. And practical cooperation is now really needed than ever before because we just recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. We need to work together to advance the post-pandemic recovery in an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient manner. So countries in the region need to work together to achieve this important vision in the post-COVID world.
We have come to the last question. Regardless of the intention from the superpower, I think any of their action more or less will influence the interaction of the small states within the international system. So how about a small state like Cambodia and others in ASEAN can maximize the benefit and minimize the negative impact from this newly emerging economic and strategic competition? I would give the floor to Dr. Vannarith, followed by Dr. Bodai. Thank you.
When it comes to economic competition, I think it's easier for small state to embrace all these initiatives and be part of it. But when it comes to security and geopolitical competition, it's quite difficult for small state because political pressure is kind of mounting and small state facing more kind of difficult choices or hard choices in their foreign policy option. So the economic framework, I think from my perspective, it will be a welcome move, but as Dr. Bray mentioned, it requires a kind of concrete practical cooperation, especially with regards to infrastructure, development and connectivity, trade openness, investment facilitation, and should not use this framework to create a block, so to speak, a separate block. And it is impossible to create a separate economic block. Even the U.S. trying to decouple from China, but realities on the ground is it is impossible to decouple because economic interdependence between the U.S. and China is too complex. The supply chain networks, services, trade and goods and services, digital connectivity and so on, and people-to-people ties. So that is something that would be an impossible mission for the U.S. to decouple from China. So what it can do, the U.S. is try to optimize the existing mechanism in order to penetrate or permit its influence into this system and expand its influence from within. Not necessary to disconnect the system or decouple the system, but to penetrate further into the system and create a space of influence within the system, including economic space. So that is the only way that the U.S. can do down the road when it comes to competition. And I think the Biden administration perhaps understand it very clearly. That's why it took a different approach from the Donald Trump administration with regards to this kind of competition by using coalition building, alliance building, and comprehensive engagement strategy, including economic engagement. So I think the competition will continue to be tense, but at least both US and China are rational actors. So as long as they are rational actors, they could calculate the costs and benefits of their behavior, and they keep adjusting their position so that they could, to some extent, peacefully coexist in this kind of evolving global order. So that is the trend. And for the small state like Cambodia, in this kind of geopolitical trend, what we can do is to really understand the intention and interest of major powers. Because if we don't know them, we cannot predict their future move. We will walk into a dark room, we don't know which direction we will go to. So that's why a lot of analysis need to be conducted with regards to the intention and interests of major power, and so that we can adjust ourselves, adapt ourselves quickly. Even we need to be ahead of the curve sometime. If we could predict the future, we can be ahead of the curve, prepare ourselves for uncertainties, prepare ourselves to seize opportunity coming from this kind of competition.
This is the most important part of our dialogue, and I would like to make 3 points here. Number one, countries in the region, especially small states like Cambodia, need to flag or raise our concern, and of course emphasize on the principles that can promote healthy competition, as I alluded earlier on. Inclusiveness, openness, transparency, complementarity, rules-based, so on and so forth. Those principles would help, synchronize and synergize different initiatives or projects in the region. Number two, we need sometime a demand what we want from external engagement in our part of the world. Besides agenda setting, norm setting, rule setting, we need a real economic connectivity, real trade relations, especially market access. Not only the market access for countries in the region to the United States, but also market access for the United States in the region. Last but not least, I think it is in the interest of countries in the region, especially ASEAN member states, to continue to promote ASEAN centrality in the evolving regional architecture, either security architecture or economic or trade architecture. Because without ASEAN centrality, ASEAN might be further divided. ASEAN geopolitical and geoeconomic weight would be eroding, and it's not in the interest of ASEAN member states. And perhaps as the chair of ASEAN this year, Cambodia should continue to emphasize the importance of ASEAN centrality in ensuring regional cooperation, regional prosperity, and of course rules-based regional order and rules-based regional trading system.
Well, it's time to wrap up the show. I wish to thank you, Dr. Vannarith and Dr. Vannarith, once again for being here today. It's my great pleasure to meet and hear from both of you around the topic that we have discussed. Ladies and gentlemen, the dialogue is now come to an end. I truly hope that you have enjoyed the discussion from our speaker and also have learned something. So see you next time and have a nice day.
Thank you.
ថាអូនគ្មានដំឡៃមើលងាយជាស្ដីថាស្រីមិនល្អចំពោះចិត្តបងស្នេហ៍ដល់ស្មោះសរមិនគិតមានក្រស្រីម្ចាស់ចិត្តបងមិនចង់ឃើញទឹកភ្នែកអូនហូរទេថ្លៃបើមានរឿងអ្វីប្រាប់មកស្នេហ៍ស្នងបងនឹងថ្នមថែបងហើយស្មោះត្រង់ម្ចាំងចិត្តបងអើយសូមឆ្លើយថាស្នេហ៍ពេជ្រក្នុងបេះដូងបងសូមសារភាពសំក្រងបែងដូងមាមេគ្មានស្រីផ្សេងទេឲ្យចិត្តរៀមលងពេជ្រក្នុងបេះដូងគឺរូបអូនហើយ
កំណត់អូនក៏ដូចជាកំណត់បងដែរបងបានត្រៀមគិតហើយថាកូនរបស់យើងបងដាក់ឈ្មោះឲ្យគេឈ្មោះសិលាតើអូនយល់យ៉ាងម៉េចដែរ
មិនអីបងព្រោះតាមិនបានទេបងធ្វើអញ្ចឹងវាហាក់ដូចជាអយុត្តិធម៌សម្រាប់បងណា
ប៉ុន្តែបងស្រឡាញ់អូនបងចង់ឲ្យអូនមានសេចក្តីសុខ